on our screens. It's time for Fight Night, and I mean, game number one, it exemplified the true essence of Fight Night.
And I am so ready for this. I mean, the fact that we got so many kills, so much action, but we'll have to see if Team Mouse can kind of slow it down a little bit. Game 2, or Game 1 even, they didn't have the best of times when it came to BJ getting picked off. BA and Artemis overextended that a little bit in the mid lane, dropping Baron. You need to see that slow down, and you called it, Munch. The early Syndra ban coming in here for Team Wales. Again, they do not want to let Catty get that.
Yeah, not surprised at all, honestly, on that one after what Catty did to them during those team fights later. I mean, it was the one where he flanked the tier 2 in the mid lane, got the scatter of the week across, got a double kill, and then the all out from Sparta actually essentially saved him. Had that stopwatch, managed to get out with his life. And now GAM starting off with Slater grabbing himself that Zaya.
I mean, no real change up here. Curious to see if they do decide to take away the Rakan here, or if they're happy to just go for the Nautilus Kai'Sa once more. Oh, sorry, the Rakan's banned away, but I think, again, you're kind of in a position where you can go for this more aggressive style. We also saw Big going for things like the... Oh, he's actually, I was going to say the Rel. So they're actually going to be able to pick that one up immediately. And now it's a case of, do you go for the Kai'Sa off rip, or do you want to try and confirm one of the junglers for yourselves after the swap up in the bans?
I mean, you can always save Kai'Sa for third, right? They've already got a Sire on their side, unless we see Catty taking mid lane Kai'Sa. We've seen it before. But Sparta goes for the Rel. Wouldn't be surprised to see BJ going for priority jungler, but no. Deciding to hold that card and hope for a jungle counter pick.
Yeah, I think now you'll probably see Palace try and respond with something like the Nautilus here in response to the Rel, which you assume is going to the bot side. This would be a sick pickup for Kiaya if he's able to get his hands on it. Something he's been incredibly strong on. And I think after the last one, where the Cassante kind of had his field day up there, it looks like Kiaya has taken off the gloves himself and wants to go and have his control of that top side.
So for a bit of context on this pick from Kiaya in the top lane, this is his most played top laner across summer, 11 games played on the Jax, 82% win rate, a 7 KDA on a melee bruiser. Like, Kiaya dominates the top lane on the Jax. And now we get a Victor. This is our second Victor pick of play-ins here, and I believe it was Catty that played it the previous time.
And had a brilliant performance on it yesterday as well, so not fully surprised to see it brought out, but still having this much priority on it, I think you can kind of see that Catty understands what he's up against in Glory and how he wants to try and fight against it. So now the response from Team Wales is just going to be that Cassante and trying to put that up towards Sparta on that top side. But again, I think you're kind of happy with the way this has gone as GAM. You got a really strong top laner in the Jax on that top side of the map. Great team fighting in the 4v4 with your Zaya and your Victor. If I'm actually Team Wales, I'm not looking so much at things like the Lee Sin in that or even the Viego for Levi. I think you need to try and focus on more engage-heavy support, or junglers, which is why I think you're looking at Sejuani, which was left open last one, now going to be banned away.
So that's Sejuani, not going to go on through. Wouldn't be too surprised to see more jungle bans once again. But you could see some bans towards Glory coming on through. That's what we saw last time. Catty having his choice of the matchup. This time it's not the Syndra. He still banned... I mean, they banned the Ahri last time. They banned the Nico last time. We'll see what they go for the third ban this time, whether it's that LeBlanc once again.
Yeah, I imagine it will be the LeBlanc, can do relatively well against the Victor. Or the option is actually just to get rid of the Orianna and say, hey, look, no, we just want to make sure we are stronger in team fights. Because with the Team Wales having a lot of engage set up with the Rel, the Cassante, we saw how strong Sparta could be when he got rolling on that pick, could be an option. But we'll have to see. Actually going to be the Nocturne banned away. I'm kind of surprised at that, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, wasn't necessarily expecting a Nocturne ban. Does mean even more junglers off of the board. There are so many jungle bans in this one. Is Taliyah still wide open? And one of the big things we always say about Taliyah, things like the Orianna, things like the Azir do well into it, but Victor, not going to be I'll stop talking about it. It's not going to be the matchup. It's going to be the Viego locked in for BJ.
Yeah, I'm curious to see exactly what Levi wants to go for. You kind of need something that won't get pushed out.
Throw the gauntlet.
I mean, it probably is the Lee Sin, to be perfectly honest, because I just don't really know if there's much else, but you would like something that's a bit tankier. And I know Levi has played Zac in the past, but I think you end up falling too far behind if you go for something like that in the 1v1. So I think you have to go for the Lee Sin, which means Pallet needs a big engage tool. So maybe it is just a Nautilus. Could also be something like a Leona potentially here, just to make sure you've got the tanky stats that Nautilus doesn't really offer you as much as a Leona would.
Could well be that. I love that Levi's taking the Lee Sin, though. Literally running back the matchup the opposite way around. If he wins both of them, if that doesn't send a message to Team Wales, I don't know what will. BJ gonna have his work cut out for him. Team Wales, they've got to figure out what they want in this mid lane. The Talia has been the hover, and it will finally be locked in.
I really like the Talia here, because both the Unraveled Earth for the amount of dashes that are on GAM, but also then the wall for how immobile they are. Like, if you can burn a flash on towards the Zyre, the Victor, and then they have to try and approach an objective fight, there's very easy and multiple different angles of attack for you to try and use this Weaver's Wall to cut them off, and a ton of follow-up when you look towards, like, Artemis even being able to send himself in, but Sparta, BA will be super happy to get someone in that corner. So I'm excited to see now if Team Wales can try and fight back, because, again, I think they did a really good job in the early stages of the last game. They actually got a little bit of a lead, but it was starting to fall apart in the mid game, and BJ and that were getting caught out. If you can take this a little bit slower and set up once more, or actually find set up for those fights, I think you'll be in an okay spot.
We'll see if they're going to be able to find those moments. Palette, I'm looking towards him. The Leona, not a pick that we've been seeing a lot of really across the year, to be honest. It feels like this has been the first year in a long time where Leona has sort of fallen out of favor, but still can be an incredibly potent pick. With the Eclipse online, you're still incredibly tanky and can set up very well for tower dives.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where you're looking at. There's always the trade-off. Like, I know Nautilus is tanky in the early stages, but a late-game Nautilus just isn't really able to cut it, because you do have to fling yourself in, but you don't get a lot of the resistances that you get with, say, like an Alistair off the ultimate or the Leona off the W. So I think that's where, again, you're kind of going, right, I want something that can actually be that engage till it goes in, but survives the initial engage setup. And Nautilus just doesn't quite have it, and especially into stuff like the Rel, even Sparta, it just means that if you're going in as Nautilus, you're not getting back out. At least Leona has a bit of a chance to stick around for a while.
It's time to get Finite underway. Underway? It's time to get into game number 2. And I'm hoping for Team Wales they can live up to what has happened throughout play-ins and get that second game on the board. They've lost game 1 of every single series in play-ins so far. We'll see if they can get back on top of things. And don't forget to connect your Prime Gaming account to your League of Legends account. You'll get yourself an experimentation emote to use across the course of this tournament. You spam that in solo queue. But I'm looking towards these compositions, Dagda, and I can already feel like there's going to be action. Like Sparta and Kiaya, you know they're going to go toe-to-toe. Levi and BJ, you know they're going to go toe-to-toe. And down in that bottom lane as well, Rel versus Leona, I feel like that's a brawl just waiting to happen.
I mean, whenever you see Leona, it's just like, hey, jungler, down here, right here, I can set you up right here. And I think that's exactly what they might need in this engage, as Team Wales looking to do pretty much similar to last one, which is I thought was going to be get a word down, yeah, there it is, and then back it on.
Yeah, well, Palette going to be shouting for Levi. We'll see if Levi very literally sees the light. Oh, he can't easily sin. He can't see anything.
And he's been spotted himself. It's a disaster. All the information going across to Team Wales because Lee Sin can't take the blindfold off.
It's a nightmare. It's a literal draft-based nightmare for the side of GAM. I am, of course, joking. Look, I'm not the guy to be commenting on good or bad drafts, realistically. I'll leave that to you, Dagda, as already fighting in that bottom side. We're looking towards these junglers, though, pathing in opposite directions, as this sort of went a little longer than I expected to in the bottom side, but will diffuse in the end.
Yeah, still though, Artemis and BA being able to push back Paladins later and have control of the bush means that, as you can see here, it becomes very difficult for them to actually try and play up and contest the wave state. So Artemis and BA having good control here, even with BJ on the bot side as well, means that if you take these bad trades, you could end up with a dive on bot side, but I think at the moment you don't want to, but maybe it is the level 2 dive. No, I was going to say, you don't have anyone tanky, but I saw how quickly they started to try and push this in and I wasn't certain.
Yeah, you never can be too sure in this kind of matchup as well, because it's not just the fact that it's a repeat of the VCS finals. It's also that, like, individually for these players, this is personal. And for Bia, who didn't get to play in that finals, he wants to show up, especially after game number 1, but he's rooted. Palette trying to get on top there. Just take a good chunk in return.
Nice interrupt from the Crash as well on the Zenith play. As Leona went in, just barely clipping him on the back end, means that BA doesn't actually get stunned up. So split map at the moment, and going back to what used to be GAM style, like coming back before they added Slater into the mix, this is kind of how they wanted to play. Levi and Kiaya playing up towards this top side, making sure they're able to get good control. Levi or Kiaya even on the carry as well means that you're going to be in an okay spot to just let him continuously push in, try and find some advantages against Sparta. Although at the moment, Sparta, again on this Cassante, great game in the last one and hasn't really given up anything on that top end either.
And I want to kind of lend credence to the difference we're seeing in this series versus what we've realistically seen in terms of game pace from both of these Vietnamese teams across the course of this tournament so far, because in VCS, both of these teams, they like to fight, they like to be reasonably aggressive. You know, Team Wales, a bit of a slower pace, but that's in the context of the VCS, you know. It's still a reasonable pace. But across play-ins, they've been playing fairly slow. A lot of that is down to the fact that... Hang on. You never can get a point out. You never can get a point out. A lot of that is down to the fact that, you know, Asia Games really cut into a lot of scrim time for both of these teams. They didn't have their full rosters available to get practice in. Because of the schedule of Asia Games. So you can see that as the tournament's gone on, both teams have become more and more comfortable as they've been able to get more time on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big one for me with Team Wales is that it's kind of the game one curse for them. Although I still say last game was slightly different for them, simply because you end up... Oh, hang on, Levi?
Levi got caught out a couple of times last time, and he's caught out again. BeanJ and Glory trying to answer it. And it will be BeanJ to get first blood.
Nice body blocking from Glory as well, just to make sure that he takes a little bit more time to get to the wall so he can't flash over. And again, late ward hop from Levi, to be perfectly honest. Thinking he just needs to clear it out, got a bit greedy, try and finish off those Raptors, and ends up paying for it with his life.
So Team Wales off to a good start once again, which we saw from them in game number 1-2. Just whether or not they can follow it up. Kiaya is staying very aggressively here. It's a stun, Sparta buffers it. Walk away with their lives. I'm going to be honest, I was a little nervous for Kiaya there.
I think Kiaya was always going to match the back here, but was trying really hard to see if he could get the freeze off before he went for the reset, which is why BeanJ was up here with Sparta. But I think, as you say, if that W had landed, he would have been a goner. Here, though, you can see Levi throws the Sonic Wave because he wants to try and use his jungle guy to finish off the Raptors, but because of that, sticks around too long, late on the ward hop. And then even here, Glory just trying to get in front of him to try and prevent him from getting to the wall so he can't flash over. Nicely done, and just a bit of a mistake from Levi coming through.
Yeah. And realistically, even if he gets the flash off, Glory and BeanJ both with flash available, be it caught in the jungle here. Levi, the previous death, certainly not going to slow down his game.
Yeah, I don't know if they really want to overextend their Team Wales to try and contest that, though. You can see Artemis had control over bot side. He's about to crash this wave, so Artemis would have missed out on a lot of CS, and even where BeanJ was positioned, made it a bit difficult for him to get in. So they will just back away, but I like the GAM again. Once bitten, they aren't twice shy. They still want to get in and try and fight against everything and get control on the map where they can, using the push on bot.
They're going to be able to get this big old crash in. A little bit of CS lead for Slater, but I think there's easily 10 minions in that wave that's just crashing right now. So reset will finally come through for Slater. First dragon onto the map. It does feel like Team Wales trying to get control of the area.
Yeah, I think Team Wales are kind of responding to the fact that Sparta took a really bad trade in that top side, forced the reset. So, like, look, chances are Levi's going to be up on that top end, which is he is just because of the pathing and the clearing that's happened, and also trying to support Kiaya and getting the plate. So they're trying to cross-map it at the moment and say we need to try and get a dragon in response, as Levi is more than likely going to be looking to support Kiaya on that push in. So still, Kiaya getting a good lead and actually might get a good amount of damage on Sparta as he comes in here.
Sparta actually using the W a little bit early, but they all out to put Kiaya back underneath the tower! Sparta once again punishing this top play.
This is Sparta! Every time Kiaya has tried to make a play on him in that top side, he's been absolutely decimated by this Cassante play, and that would have been it. Like, Levi just wanted to get Kiaya, hey, go for a trade, get him low, we finish him off. And now instead it's Levi who might be finished off as well as Glory in the area.
The exact same spot as last time. Glory trying to set it up for his team. That's flashed down for Levi. He's chunked on out, and Sparta and BA and BeanJ, the whole gang is here to ruin Levi's day.
There is always a lot more whales. They swim in packs and they find Levi in that one. Sparta getting the roam down means he's got absolutely nowhere to go except into the waiting hands of more Team Wales who've showed up.
Do you know, I don't know enough about whales to challenge whether or not they swim in packs.
They do swim. Is it a school? I know it's a school of fish, but they do swim as like families essentially. So it's and in family, no one gets left behind except for Levi, who's very much behind, and also Kiaya, who kind of got ruined here by Sparta with some fancy footwork. Again, getting in behind him, getting the knockback, and then Levi. I mean, is the chicken that tasty? Like, do you really need to extend twice and get caught in the same spot by the same play at the literally a minute and a half later?
I'm going to say yes because I too am a lover of chicken. I'm going to say worth there. Delicious.
The producers just have been in my ear. Whales travel in pods. So thank you very much, Deppa. Yeah. Pods of 2 to 3.
Huh,
So, well, we kind of broke it there because there's about 4 of them.
Yeah.
So, little too many, but it still works out.
Team Wales, they're a big pod. They're a big pod. It may not be normal, but it's certainly looking good here and playing so far. Palette going for a dive here. Slater's here. Levi's here, but it's a great crash down from Bia. And actually, GAM taking a lot of damage so far, not getting much back as Artemis finally falls, but it's 1 for 1. Bia surviving, but they got Artemis down. He's going to lose so much CS.
That's a massive wave to lose, and GAM responding nicely there on that bottom side, getting the play. Glory actually going to ult in here just to pick up the wave. I like this. Make sure that you can get enough of that experience. It's not just going to waste. You see the push coming through from Catty in the mid lane, though, means that you'll have the lane swap coming through from Artemis in towards the mid lane to try and catch that wave as it goes through. So Artemis still going to be substantially behind, whereas Glory going to pick up a little bit of an advantage off that, but nicely done from GAM in just getting that kill across.
Yeah, very nicely done. GAM sort of getting themselves a bit on the board again, because it felt like things were getting away from GAM here in game number 2. It felt like Team Wales was starting to find the advantage. As all out once again from Sparta. He goes back in onto the counter-strike, but he's just going to kill him.
No.
Pallet tried to move up to turn the match up, but it just doesn't matter. Sparta is just decimating him.
Pallet shows up and realizes Sparta's a forklift doing absolute work in this top lane. Catching out Kiaya again, 0-2 on the Jacks. And maybe looking to answer in that bot side again. I mean, what's going on in top lane? I don't understand. This is supposed to be the moment for Kiaya. I was like, let's go, you're gonna have a great time, and not at all.
I mean, Kiaya's had such a good tournament, but I mean, we keep on talking about the fact that this is a rematch. These guys have played against each other before. Perhaps it's that Sparta he's figured them out, perhaps.
I think it's just this Cassante, to be perfectly honest, man.
Well,
like,
yeah.
Sparta's perfectly happy to bring it out. Yeah.
You said the bit you don't say out loud.
Yeah, you said the inner thought out loud, but ooh, yeah.
Go for a dive in the mid lane. That is going to be Catty going down. Glory to pick up the kill. Nice bit of coordination. Another pod play from Team Wales.
A positive. No, I was going to say positive, but positive. That didn't really work.
Play.
Look, it's early.
It's a triple P is what it is.
But really, really nice play coming through from Team Wales again. And Sparta, let's get the replay here. Kay has just been taking like really bad trades again as this with the Sheen proc, the knockback, and also just able to get the knockback a second time there as the stun comes through, denies Pallet the opportunity to come in, just going that bit early. And VA Hex Flash over the wall, sets up beautifully, and these are kind of the plays that you get to make with this triple threat essentially. Like the easy CC from Rel sets up both for BJ and Glory, so easy.
So it does. Artemis having quite a quiet series so far, and as he's caught out, the feathers go in, but won't be able to pull back for the root as Artemis keeping himself alive with that cleanse. Now Catty once again, flash still available, but I mean, where are you going to flash to there? Glory and BJ linking up and finding advantages.
And Sparta now going to be able to get plates on this, at least a plate, I'd say, on this top side. Rift Tower now moved in towards the mid lane, meets the plates there, and the only place that is really falling massively far behind is in this bot lane, but you can see player matchup there very firmly in favor of Team Wales, as they're going to pick up their second dragon. It looks like, again, the curse of Team Wales might be coming true. Lose game 1 to give teams false hope and come alive in game number 2.
Yeah, I was going to start making puns about GAM being Sharks after that first game, but it is feeling more like Krill than Sharks at this point, because 7-1 on the scoreboard, 3,000 gold lead. They've already got the 2 Drakes, in fact, 4,000 gold lead. I can't even count. 2 Drakes back-to-back now. They got the first Herald, looking towards the second one. Hey, aside from that one kill, this is basically a perfect game.
Yeah, it's been absolutely spectacular. And this is exactly what I was hoping to see from Team Wales, with kind of how they built up people's hopes over the course of this play-ins. Because as you say, doubted almost every step of the way. Now going up against a rematch of the team that beat them in the finals 3-1, and they're looking spectacular. We'll have to see if Team Wales can try and keep this one up. I love, again, the fact that we're getting Bay, working with BJ, and playing off of this mid lane, because I think this is how you should try to play around a Talia. Get the CC, set things up. You can even see here again, the second caddy is in lane. So are Bay and BJ.
That's going to be an ultimate down onto Artemis. He can walk away, be it find space for his AD carry there. Catty just desperate to crash this wave in, and will get a bit of help from Pallet to do so. I'd love to hear what the strategy meeting coming into game number 2 was for Team Wales when they all huddled up in the pod. Because as far as I can tell, it's like, BJ, Glory work together, shut down Catty early so he can't be this monster carry in team fights. Artemis and Bia just kind of hang in there. Sparta just slaughter Kiaya. Just absolutely annihilate him 1v1.
Just do your thing again, same as game 1. I do love the idea that they speak in like whale analogies, which is like they are orcas, and like I don't know if people know, but like whales will just hate orcas and will go out of their way to like save seals that orcas are chasing and just attack
Really?
the orcas. Yeah, they like have a personal vendetta against orcas. So I love the idea that like that's the analogy to go through. It's like, what are we? Whales. What are they? Orcas. Who are we gonna save? The seals. It's like it's all perfect. You know, it works out beautifully.
I've got to be honest, when you say it about, you know, whales talking in a team chat, I thought you were going to go into whale song for a second there. I was very close to doing it myself, but I'm not sure the viewers deserve that.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sure your whale song is as amazing as your karaoke is, but we'll save them from that. As our Mascot Lane Economy Snapshot is going to save us from going down this rabbit hole with Sparta again looking fantastic in this top side. 3 kills, plates galore from as well. 2 dragons across the Team Wales. I think this is now where I'm going to, it's a case of how the hell do GAM try and slow down the pace of this game? Because they still have a Victor, they still have the Zaya who will come on in the later portion, but it feels like you need to try and find those same picks that broke up in the game last time. See if you can find B&J when you're playing away from his team. Even moments like this where Artemis is kind of separated solo, killing the the Rift Child may give you an opportunity. Because I will say this is a bit of a weird timing with your jungler on the bottom side.
It is. It's not often you see the AD carry come up and solo the Rift Herald, but that's the world we're living in. As Artemis grabs that one for himself. And as you rightly say, you know, game number 1, our snapshot looked reasonably similar to this, but then it came down to the way that they were moving on the map. GAM finding these individual picks on Pia, on B&J, and then like kind of snowballing off the back of that, finding tier 2 towers. I mean, Catty last game had so much solo tower gold in those side lanes on his Syndra. This time around though, I don't think he'll be able to have that same presence in the lane, that same pressure on the Victor.
Yeah, the fact he's 0-2 as well is not the best at times. Because when we think back to the last game, like 6-1, I think he was by the end of the game. So significantly more impact on the Syndra, and I think that's where Team Wales kind of correctly identified that Catty was just such a big playmaker. Now, maybe in trouble.
Glory taking a hit to try and get this damage down. Pallet going to be the target as BJ dives in, forcing the flash, but it's BJ's flash in trade for him.
Yeah, and Sparta going to move back down to the bot side to respond to Kiaya, who thought maybe he'd get some alone time with this turret, but not going to be able to do so. Also, the fact that now, again, you do have the Riptide and Artemis back pocket means we need to keep our eyes on where Artemis is positioned, because as he moves up towards his top side with multiple members of GAM.
Via, you're really far forward, but so is apparently Levi caught out on the top side of the play. I thought that was BS overstepping, just like game number 1. But I'm proven wrong. Team Wales finding these advantages once again. All over the wall. Onto Catty. B&J absolutely shredding the health bar here as Glory flies in as well. Trying to deny the flash here. Ignite. Burning away. The first strike is there! Catty, no matter how the game goes, he's still finding these kills.
I was not expecting the Leandri's Anguish first strike proc to take down Glory there, but Catty calculated right as we were saying, hey, this guy needs to kind of step up his game. He massively does so, and Glory way overextended on that one. Thought he'd be able to get the flick back, tries to predict if it doesn't happen. Now, this is a great pick here. So stun lands, flick back for Glory, easy as a like, beautiful combo. But at this stage, just like, right, let's just take tower. Like, let's try and use the advantages that we have. But they end up trying to overextend here as B&J gets a nice play onto Catty as he comes in over the wall and gets good damage. But again, you can just call quits at this stage. There's no need to overchase. Glory going too far forward. The ult comes down, doesn't get the flick back, and then the Leandri's Anguish first strike combo. The thing I didn't know I needed at this time.
I've got to be honest. Glory doing a bit of a double lift right there. Goes right into the face of a Victor who just turns around and goes, no, one-shots them.
Why is he going to catch strays like that?
Brutal. Yeah, a lot of damage coming out. It's not an interaction you see often, is it? The first strike proc off of the Leandris, but here we go. Combo onto Pallet. B&J trying to chase it up as well. They don't want to go too far forwards. Catty is here, trying to punish, and it's a great kick from Levi to turn the fight. Catty the one to go down, though. Team Wales still a pod ahead in this one. Slater versus Artemis. And Artemis chasing Slater out of the jungle.
You're not quite able to get into position, but here we go. Kiaya, how quickly can you run? B&J on the chase, doesn't have his stun for another 2 seconds.
Yeah, should go down here, honestly. Ward hop, though. Bia trying to get the crash down, trying to get the stun. And the blast cone might be enough, but no! pulled out of the air by Sparta. Another ward hop to get to safety. Kiaya still has his flash. How the hell has he got away with that?
Kiaya styling on them a little bit, but it's styling on them to retreat. And it means that now it's on the attack for Team Wales, although now they got to retreat themselves.
Is that Catty TPing in behind enemy lines? He's gone 1v4 for this one. Chaos Storm comes down, the stun though. BJ burning, Sparta finding space for his team. Team Wales will get away, and in the meantime, Glory takes tier 1 on the bottom side.
Yeah, I think overextension there for GAM. They really wanted to get Catty in a position, but with no one to really set up, actually, as the Weaver's Wall would come through just to keep him off the turret. And they really wanted to try and set up with the TP from Catty to get the gravity well to keep GAM and our Team Wales in check, but unable to do so with the amount of escapes that Team Wales have. So just ends up burning the TP. Not really going to be able to pick up too much on the map. Maybe they'll get top tower, but just it's a nice pickup for Team Wales to get Dragon, and immediately they see their opportunity here to turn on to Pallet, who, I mean, why did you need a ward there? Let's be real. Like, you already know Catty's just going to clear out that wave and then back off. You can try and support him underneath the tower, but this deep into river when you know they've just done Dragon, it's just going to set up perfectly for Team Wales to pick you off. And then Kiaya with the hero escape on the backside.
So, we return for a second to normalcy. 5k gold lead, like you say, picking up that Drake, so that makes it 3 now for Team Wales. 1 away from a soul for them, and again, Cassante with Chemtech, he's like the best in the game at using that soul for himself. Team Wales setting up for a potential Baron right here. So they've got vision of the area, not going to just pull the trigger just yet.
I think they need to wait a little bit of time. You can see where Glory's position on the map, doesn't have Weaver's Wall, doesn't have TP, so he wants to try and create pressure on this bottom side before he comes into these fights. So just getting the vision control down for the moment, in case they do want to try and bait it later on. But they do have some ability to burn down the Baron, but realistically, I think they just need to try and play it side lanes before they try to over-aggress and just wait for their 4th Dragon.
We've got that lethality Kaiser coming out from Artemis in this one. However, this is not the same as, like, you know, yesterday we saw a lot of Twitter conversation about that build. So much better draft for it. Glory trying to find a pick onto Kiaya here, and the flick back available. The rest of the gang is here. The whole pod arriving to try and get Kiaya. This time they find his flash.
And this time GAM are in position to actually threaten the mid lane turret, so we can burn this one down and try and exit out towards that bottom side of the map. I don't know, though, if what Team Wales want to try and achieve here. They're in a bit of a weird spot.
Glory's gone quite deep for this one, but the rest of the team is on the way. Slater in trouble. Levi jumps to his teammate, already low on HP and force splash. Pallet buying space for his team as in goes Artemis in the 1v3. Gets out of his life. Catty chasing him, forces the flash from Artemis, but it's 1 kill onto Pallet so far. Catty cannot escape either, and Glory happy to chase for this one. Wants an extra kill onto his opposite man. He's burning. Catty is burning. Beer finishes him off, shatters him to pieces.
Gets Lance down where he stands, and now Team Wales, having picked off the support of the mid laner, they're going to turn over towards the Baron. Going to take a little bit of time before the support and the mid laner can get there, but Levi, he's about to show on bot side. Team Wales coming alive as per usual in Game 2.
Certainly are. 11-2 scoreline as they grab the Baron for themselves. What a mid-game. Way less mistakes than game number 1.
I mean, for this, Glory overextend. Well, sorry, this was a good setup. It's just that the team wasn't in place to try and follow up quick enough before the wall goes down. And at that stage then, you got Pallet who gets caught out on the top side. Artemis is trying to escape as Catty flashes for to try and finish off Artemis. But it's these overextensions then that mean that Team Wales are able to continue to follow up on this one. So Team Wales putting their foot down in a position where they were just so incredibly strong.
So now we need to see clean gameplay from the Wales if they're going to finish this one out. They've got the Red Bull Baron power play on their side. BJ getting a little dicey with it. And BJ was one of the repeat offenders in game number 1. Overstepping, getting caught out, him and Mia both. Both of them now deathless in game 2. Feels like the coaching staff had a serious word with those 2 players as Sparta zoning the enemy squad away. Dragon down. That soul. Bia gets a great crash down onto the backline, and GAM are gone before the fight It's even begun. Levi gets one on the backside, but it's nowhere near enough. BJ finishing them off as he dive forwards towards Catty. He's not getting anywhere. It's an ace for the side of Team Wales. It's a soul for the side of Team Wales, and it might just be game for the side of Team Wales.
A glorious flick back from the Talia, gets the double stun onto Kiaya and Pallet, and then sets up that fight. Team Wales are going to be able to crack open the base easily now. This has been a significantly more confident play from Team Wales, and for the opportunity to now represent the VCS going into the main stage at Worlds, both these teams dying to get their hands on that spot.
They certainly are. And GAM proving, Wales proving once again that they're not going to let GAM get away with it easy. Not going to let this be a clean series.
Look at the flick back here. Glory straight onto Pallet and Kiaya and trying to get onto Sparta, which then sets up perfectly here for the team to follow through this choke point. Sparta ends up in the back line as well, so BJ able to follow up alongside him, and they just ripped through everyone on GAM.
I love BJ holding the ultimate there as well. Wanted to get some feathers out first, wanted to get value out of being Slater for a moment there. Even though, actually, same amount of items for BJ. Yeah. I feel like he probably does similar damage to what Slater's able to at this point in the game.
It's also, don't forget, a lot of people, the W on Xayah gives you movement speed towards people. So the longer you can stay in the Xayah, the quicker you're going to be able to chase down Caddy. So nicely done by BJ to just make sure he can actually close that distance. And as you say, get a bit of damage off before he crashes down on top of them. But yeah, now in a position where he wants to try and crash down on GAM inside their own base, as it's Kiaya on the split push. But here comes a Weaver's Wall to cut off everyone from this top tower.
Nice wall here just to secure the objective. Kiaya trying to get some bounty gold there on the top side of the map, but I'm not sure that little gold injection is going to be enough to turn this game. He'll get a tier 2, but it's in trade for an inhib in the top lane, potentially a second inhib in the mid lane as well, although the Baron has now timed out. We'll see if Team Wales want to keep pressing here. They don't have the greatest siege comp in the world.
Yeah, I think it's more a case of if they can get the pick. Yeah, that's where I'm like, if you can find Pallet or find an opportunity. This tower is very low, but the wave clear is pretty substantial from Slater and Catty, so they're just going to back away. So you still get an inhibitor for the tier 2 tower, which you're going to be pretty happy with, because realistically, there's not going to be much chance for the Jacks to try and continue pushing on towards that inhibitor turret on the bottom side. So you reset, come back out of the map, spend your gold. You still 2 minutes before Baron, so maybe you can get a wave pushed in and at least establish vision. Oh, well, I was going to say they already have a lot of vision control on that top side, but kind of re-establish control over that and then lean back in towards Baron. And if you're Catty or Slater trying to move through these choke points to get into River, like Bay's going to be happy, Glory with flick backs. We've already seen these fights happen once before, and it's gone so heavily in favor of Team Wales.
Minute and a half until the Baron comes back onto the map. BJ actually ults out on this one, but Pallet has gone too deep, stunned up. The reset on BJ's ult as well, as Artemis doesn't have a lot of mana to fly in with, but he does have a blue buff. W's flying in at this point as Sparta just goes for the dive, pulls the enemy jungler back into the fray as BJ going further in on this one. It's another pick as Sparta, the absolute man of the hour for Team Wales right here, decimating the laning phase and finding these moments in the late game.
And now finding a second inhibitor for Team Wales. BJ started on the bot one, but said, what are we doing? This is the end. This is going to be a Team Wales victory.
Should be able to finish it off now. First Nexus turret low. Catty on the Victor, Slater on the Xayah. They've got to make magic happen to stay in this one. It's a good stun from Kiaya, but a stun is all they will find. Pallet goes down, the Nexus will fall, and Team Wales, they show us why they were the second seed out from the VCS, and more importantly, why they were the first seed coming into this matchup.
It's very, very similar to what we saw in the VCS finals, though. Game 1 going across to, Game 2 going across to Team Wales after they just lost the first game to GAM. So this is where I want to see if Team Wales can rewrite that story here today, or whether it's going to be the bounce back now from GAM coming into Game 3. Phenomenal performance, though, from Team Wales in this one. It has been absolutely incredible to see how they have come alive at every single chance.
Yeah, worst possible moment there.
Yeah.
Production cuts to a side, the fan puts the side down. Disaster. Absolute elation here for Team Wales, though. And the speed at which both teams got off of the stage there, they're in game mode. This is the best of 5. They know what's on the line, and you can see plenty to discuss off the back of that win.
Yeah, I mean, for Team Wales, you're going to be absolutely thrilled. Again, Sparta, this Cassante has to go. Like, he has been so incredibly strong on it. Again, Kati just kind of muted off of the Talia play coming through from the mid lane, and Bia getting those great roams off. This is what Team Wales, we wanted to see them trying to